Cyber Friends, it's the Midi Man again, coming at you from Walker's Music with yet another word for today. And mind you that we are yet in the process of taking one day at a time. And it will behoove everyone, and we will live one day at a time. And let Jesus lead you. We need to let Jesus lead us in all aspects of our lives. Today, I want to read a couple of scriptures. And I got something I want to share with all of us, lay people and leaders, ministers of music, preachers, teachers, whatever. And but I got two scriptures that I want to lay the foundation for first, and then I'm going to also introduce something else and expound on it. In other words, and I think if we could grasp this idea, I think things will be a lot better in our ministries, and whether it be in the church or anywhere else in society. There are some things that we must need do in order to be excellent and to reach the goal that Christ has set for us. In other words, He means for us to do well. That's God's. That's His will for our lives, is to prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. So I want to read a couple of scriptures here, coming from first one from St. Matthew 23rd chapter. It said, "Then spake Jesus," starting at the first verse, "spake Jesus to the multitude and to the disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their work they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted." Now we want to turn over, let's reference another scripture here. We're going to go to Mark, the 10th chapter. And let's start reading at the 42nd verse. "But Jesus called them to him and said unto them, Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them. But so shall it not be among you. But whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister. And whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many." May God add a blessing to the readers, hearers, and doers of his holy word. Now, people, we see from these two passages of scripture, and it's clearly known that what Jesus was saying, that if you want to be great, you must become a servant. The chiefest one must become a servant. And I'm reminded that when Jesus got ready to go, when he was getting ready to suffer, on the night of the Last Supper, he ungirded himself and he unrobed himself and girded himself with a garment about his waist, and he took a basin, filled it with water, and washed the disciples' feet. And he said to them, he said, "You don't understand this now, but you will." He said, "You call me master and Lord, and you do, and you are right. So if I'm the master and the Lord and I humble myself to wash your feet, you should wash each other's feet. Jesus was surely the master, but he showed himself to be a servant. How come we can't do that? People, how come we can't do that? Just because you might have the title of minister of music, but if it, I mean, I'm just going to use my own self now as an example, not to exalt myself, but to show by servanthood. It doesn't matter. If someone asks me to take out the garbage at the church, I do it. Whatever. Sweep the floor. Clean up. Go put some tissue in the bathroom. Whatever it is. I'm willing. I'm a servant. That's all. We are all servants. That's all we are. And Jesus said, he that shall be chiefest shall be servant to all. I bought a book. And I want to share this here with you, musicians, ministers of music, whether you be choir director or whatever. And I'm going to advise you. And I mean, I have not been told to do this. Matter of fact, this brother has never said anything to me about doing this. He doesn't even know that I'm doing it. But this book that I bought a while back, and I mean, I've read it, I bet you I know 5-6 times over and over, and I keep it on my keyboard. And it's this book right here. And I want to bring it close, by Brother Kevin Bond. It's a servant's guide from a servant's heart. Ministry from A to Z. I want you to take a good look at it. Take a good look at it. See that? Brother Kevin Bond. Ministry from A to Z. Now, all of you worship leaders, musicians, drummers, keyboard players, ministers, preachers of the word, I recommend that you all buy this book. Search for it on Google. Go to his website, Kevin Bond. Go to his website, Kevin Bond, www.kevinbond.com. Get this book. I promise you, if you read that book and hear what Kevin says about servanthood and about ministry, it'll change you. It'll change your outlook on who we are. People, we need not to think that we are so high and above other people. We are servants. And I must hurry on. Kevin explained in that book how we should be as servants and be ready to rise to every occasion. You got to be ready and to be able to do things. He even went as far as that. How many ministers of music per se is unprepared? They cannot even play basic hymns, but yet they still want to be called minister of music. When people minister, that means servant. Servant, people. We need not be heady and high-minded and thinking we are above people to walk and step all over people. God's people at that. We don't do that. We don't do that. And like I said, please, people, get this book. Go and find it to kevinbond.com and buy this book and read it. All musicians, every keyboard player, if you minister in music or you just soul musician or whatever, you need to read that book. And then let us remember the words of Jesus. He that is chiefest must be servant of all. Now, if you want to be great, go ahead and do some service. But see, most of us wants to be served. That's what Jesus was saying here in Matthew about those Pharisees. They wanted to be served. They wanted to be the chief among the name, call me rabbi and blah, 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 and all that. And, Jesus called them hypocrites. People, I don't want Jesus to call me a hypocrite. So therefore, I'm going to choose to be a servant. Whatever I can do to make myself available as of service to help anyone, that's what I want to do. So that one day, my Lord will say to me, servant of God, well done, and into the joy of thy Lord. That's what I want to hear, and I'm quite sure that's what you want to hear. So this is Mitty Man saying peace and goodbye.